Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic I know is close to many of your hearts. That is, how to help your kids navigate the, let's just say, interesting waters of adolescence.
That's right. Adolescence, definitely interesting times. But, the good news is you've sent in a ton of great resources. So,
Yeah, really useful stuff.
absolutely. I think we're well equipped to unpack some of the trickier aspects of this phase.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that really jumped out at me from what you guys sent in, and I don't know about you, but
hmm
it's like everyone talks about the talk, right? But it's not just about the birds and the bees anymore.
Right. It's so much bigger than that.
It feels like the emotional roller coaster and how to actually talk to your kids about that.
That's the key, isn't
Yeah,
it? Because we can give them the biological facts, but if they don't understand what's happening in their own heads.
exactly. It's like, one minute they're your sweet kid and the next they're slamming doors. And
Oh, the door slam. It's a classic for a reason.
it's true. But like you were saying, there's a reason for it. It's not just them like being difficult. It's like their brains are actually wired differently during this period.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought that up because one of the sources you shared talked about how important it is for teenagers to understand the neurological changes happening in their brains, the hormonal shifts, the prefrontal cortex development, all of it. And when kids have that knowledge,
Oh, it's like a superpower.
it gives
Yeah.
them the power to say, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way.
Yeah.
It's not just them being dramatic or difficult.
And you know what I think is so cool? Like I was reading this study, and I wish I had known this when I was a teen, but apparently when parents acknowledge and validate those feelings, like, hey, I get it, your hormones are out of whack, it's normal to feel overwhelmed, it actually can help reduce conflict.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Validation is so important no matter your age.
It's huge. And it kind of ties into that whole open communication thing, which, let's be real, it's way easier said than done.
You're preaching to the choir here.
Mm,
I mean, think about it. You're trying to talk to a human who'd rather communicate through emojis and memes.
exactly. And they're like, ugh, leave me alone. But like, we can't just leave them alone, can we?
No, we can't. And this is where active listening becomes so crucial. And one of your sources really delved into this. And I thought they had some really practical tips.
Yeah, like what? Because I'll be honest, I'm guilty of just like half listening while scrolling through my phone
No, we've all been there. But active listening is about putting the phone down, making eye contact, and really hearing what they're saying, even if it's hard to hear.
and not interrupting.
Oh, the interrupting. We've got to work on that, right? It's tough, I know. But it's about creating that space where they feel safe to open up. And you know what? Sometimes they're not going to want to talk right away.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We have to respect their timing too. Maybe try again later or just let them know you're there when they're ready.
Yeah, because like thinking back to when I was a teenager, the times I really opened up to my parents were when I felt like they were really listening.
Absolutely. It's about creating that safe space, that judgment-free zone. Because when kids feel heard, that's when the real conversations can happen.
Totally. And speaking of tricky balances, because that's kind of what this whole parenting thing feels like sometimes, how do we find that sweet spot between giving teenagers the independence they crave, but also setting those boundaries they still need?
It's a dance, isn't it? It's like 1 minute they want to be treated like adults making their own decisions, and the next minute they need us to like remind them to put on deodorant.
Oh my gosh, it's so true.
But one of the things that stood out to me from, let me see, I think it was the article you shared about parenting teens. It talked about giving choices within boundaries.
Ooh, I like that. Choices within boundaries.
Yeah, so for example, maybe they get to choose their own clothes, express themselves through their style, but we still have rules about, say, appropriate attire for different occasions.
Or like screen time, right? They want to be on their phones all day, but we have to set limits, even though it might be met with resistance.
Exactly. And the key here is consistency, right? Because that's what creates a sense of security for them, even if they don't always show it.
Consistency and clear expectations. Got it. So it's not about controlling every aspect of their lives. It's about guiding them towards making good choices,
That's it. Guiding, not controlling.
which I guess kind of leads us to that final point, right? Nurturing their self-identity. And this isn't just about, do you like soccer or ballet? This is deeper, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This is about them figuring out who they are as individuals,
Hmm.
their values, their beliefs, what gets them excited about life. And, it can be messy.
Totally. Like, remember those awkward phases we all went through?
Oh, yeah. We've all been there. But that's part of the process, right? Trying on different hats, different identities to see what fits.
Like that. Trying on different hats.
Right. Some hats they'll wear for a day, some they'll wear for a season, and some might just become their signature style. And our job as parents isn't to choose the hat, it's to provide a safe and supportive environment for them to explore all those different versions of themselves.
I love that. It's like we're not raising robots, we're raising individuals.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes seeing them explore those different passions, it can even inspire us to try something new, too.
That's so true. I think we often forget that we're on this journey of self discovery right alongside them.
Totally. Okay, so to wrap up all this amazing wisdom you guys have shared with us today, open communication, respecting their growing independence while still setting those boundaries, and celebrating the unique individuals they're becoming.
It's quite a journey, that's for sure.
It is. But honestly, just by being here, listening to this, you're already taking those first steps.
That's right, you are. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out.
Nobody does. We're all just figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
So here's a little something to think about as you continue on this parenting adventure. What's one small step you can take today to connect with your team? Just one small step.
I love that. One step at a time.
Because sometimes those small steps, they can make the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Until next time, keep those conversations going. And remember, you've got this.